Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, welcome to the class of Introduction to Human Resource Management. Dear students, uh, today we will be discussing about the indirect financial compensation. Indirect financial compensation, often referred to simply as benefits, represents all monetary rewards that employees receive that are not included in direct wages or salaries. Now, although these benefits do not appear as cash in employee's paycheck, they add significant economic value to the employment relationship. In many organizations, the cost of benefit can equal or even exceed 30 to 40% of the payroll expenditures. Understanding the structures, purpose, and the types of benefits is essential for HR professionals because benefits influence employee satisfaction, retention, productivity, and organizational competitiveness. Now, in addition to indirect financial compensation, organizations also offer non financial compensation, which refers to all rewards that enhance the employee experience without direct monetary value. These include recognition, meaningful work, career development opportunities, and a positive work environment. Together, indirect financial and non financial compensation form a comprehensive total reward system. Now let us discuss the legally required benefits. Legally required benefits are mandated by the government to protect employees from an economic insecurity perspective related to unemployment, disability, injury, or retirement. These benefits are not optional and employers must comply with national labor laws. The purpose is to provide a social safety net for workers and reduce the burden on public welfare system. Social security pension contributions are also there in the system. Many countries require employers to contribute to national pension schemes or social security pension systems. Now, these programs provide retirement income, disability benefits, and survivor benefits. For example, in the US, employers contribute to Social Security and Medicare, and in many Asian countries, employers contribute to Social Security funds. For example, in Pakistan, we have a fund named the EOBI, that is Employee Old Age Benefit. Then comes uh, uh, actually the thing is there is also a concept of unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance provides a temporary financial assistance to employees who lose their jobs through no fault of their own. Employers typically pay into state or national unemployment funds. For instance, a company that lays off workers due to economic downturns enables those employees to receive unemployment benefits for a defined time period. Now, there is another concept of workers' compensation as well. Worker compensation insurance provides medical coverage and income replacement for employees injured on the job. It protects both the employees who receive support without needing to sue and employers who avoid costly litigation. For example, if a construction company worker is injured by falling equipment, workers' compensation covers hospital bills and the part of their lost wages. Then comes family and medical leave. Now, in many countries, employees are entitled to unpaid and sometimes paid leaves for life events such as childbirth, illness, or caring for family members. For example, in the United States, FMLA, the Family and Medical Leave Act, provides up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave annually for qualifying reasons. Now, there are some discretionary benefits as well. Discretionary benefits are not legally required. Organizations offer them voluntarily to attract talent, improve morale, and remain competitive. These benefits often serve as differentiators in the labor market. Then comes the health insurance. Many employers voluntarily offer health, dental, or vision coverage. Such programs reduce employees' out-of-the-pocket medical expenses and create a strong sense of security. For example, a company offering fully paid health insurance for employees and partially subsidized insurance for dependents stands out in a competitive job market. Then there are retirement and saving plans as well. Employers may offer additional pension plans or retirement savings programs beyond statutory benefits. For example, a company might offer a 401k plan with a 5% employer match, encouraging employees to save for retirement. Then come the wellness programs. These are designed to improve employees' physical and mental health. For example, on-site fitness centers, mental health counseling, yoga classes, or certain programs that enable any kind of recreation activity to be taking to take place actually. Then comes life and disability insurance. Now, life insurance offers financial protection to an employee's family, while disability insurance replaces income when an employee becomes incapable of working. For example, a firm providing group life insurance equal to 1 year's salary of that very particular employee who gets disabled because of any kind of injury. Then there are some employee services and perks as well. Now, these include non essential but attractive benefits that increase the convenience and satisfaction. For example, subsidized meals or cafeterias, transportation allowances or shuttle services, childcare facilities, tuition reimbursement, or continuing education, employee discounts on products or services. Now, these perks foster loyalty, enhance organizational culture, and help employees balance work and personal responsibilities. Then there is a concept of pay for time not worked or paid leave. Pay for time not worked, also called the supplemental pay benefits, represents compensation for periods during which employees are not performing their job duties but still receive full or partial pay. These benefits are important for maintaining employee well-being and preventing burnout. There is a concept of paid holidays as well, where employees receive paid time off during nationally recognized holidays. For example, New Year's Day, Independence Day, and the similar statutory holidays in other countries like Eid vacations. Then there are paid vacation leave. Paid vacation allows employees to take time off for rest and recreation. The number of the days often depends on tenure. For example, employees must or may receive 10 days in the first year, increasing to 20 days after 5 years of the service. Then there is a concept of paid sick leaves. Sick leaves enable employees to recover from the illness without losing their pay. Some organizations offer separate sick leaves, other combine vacation and sick days into a paid time off, that is the PTO bank. For example, an employee with a flu may take 3 days of paid sick leave. Then comes the concept of paid personal days. Personal days can be used for, as the title suggests, personal matters such as appointments, family obligations, or emergencies. For example, an employee takes a personal day to attend their child's school program. Then there is a paid paternal leave. Some employers provide salary continuation during maternity, paternity, or adoption leave even when not legally required. A company offering, for example, 8 weeks of fully paid maternity leave in addition to statutory unpaid leave. Then comes the final concept of non financial compensation. Non financial compensation includes rewards that fulfill employees' psychological, social, and professional needs rather than their financial needs. These rewards often have a stronger effect on the long-term engagement and intrinsic motivation. For example, these can be in the form of recognition and status. Recognition actually acknowledges employee achievements through praise, awards, or public appreciation. For example, Employee of the Month awards, appreciation emails, or celebrating the milestones. Then opportunities for career growth and development. Now, employees value learning and advancement opportunities that help them progress professionally. For example, training and development workshops, mentorship programs, internal promotions, conference and skill building courses. Then job design and work environment. The structure of the meaningfulness of a job significantly influence employee satisfaction. For example, allowing employees autonomy in decision making. Uh, Designing jobs with a variety and challenge, providing safe, pleasant, and kind of encouraging work conditions. Work-life balance and sport is another type of a non-financial compensation. A sportive culture that respects employees' lives outside of work enhances loyalty and reduces turnover. For example, flexible work hours, remote or hybrid work options, 4-day work week, and etc. Positive organizational culture is also a non-financial kind of a compensation that encourages loyalty in the employees. A culture of respect, trust, fairness, and inclusion is a powerful non-financial reward. For example, organizations that encourage teamwork and open communication and diversity often enjoy high employee engagement. Now, to conclude, indirect financial compensation and non financial compensation together form a comprehensive total reward system. While legally required benefits ensure employee security, discretionary benefits allow companies to compete for talent, to compete for experience, and to compete for expertise of that very particular employees. Now, non-financial compensation, though intangible, often has the strongest impact on the motivation, engagement, and performance. HR must ensure that there exists a proper balance between the financial compensation and the non-financial compensation part, so that the employees always feel motivated and they perform up to the mark and they give their best. Thank you.